Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. Going to give you two words. Music heals. Music heals. And so do the arts. And I've learned that in a big way in talking with this gentleman and the people that he's aligned with, the arts and music not only heals, but it also moves our lives forward. And that can be anybody going through challenges, can be also somebody who is incarcerated. We're going to talk deep about that today. He's the president of Baltic Street into Action, and that's an organization that embraces the arts to help people move their lives forward. And he's back with us. Peter Jampel joins us on the program. Hey, Peter.
Hi, Steve. Good to be with you.
Good to have you back with us. And who do you have with us today?
Well, Alina Bloomgarten is a woman for all seasons, if I can put it that way. She is the former founding director of Jazz at Lincoln Center, and now president and founding director of Music on the Inside. And Alina and I have been connecting on a number of levels, but the most basic level is how music transforms lives. One of the things that I want to emphasize here in presenting Music on the Inside is how Baltic Street into Action and Music on the Inside have joined together to promote the use of music and musical relationships, mentorship relationships, to not only harness the power of music, but the power that music has to forge deep and meaningful relationships. And these mentorships start while people are incarcerated, but are also strengthened after people are released back into the community. And Baltic Street into Action has put MOTI into its framework in terms of the music therapy program at Rikers Island. So an additional challenge for people who suffer from serious mental health challenges is how to bring music into their lives and how to help them also incorporate that into their post-release adjustments back to the community. First, we're going to have a couple of more guests, I hope, if we can get them patched in here. But thank you so much, Alina, for coming on to today's podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Peter, for your support over these many years. I first met you, I spoke to your class at NYU.
Yes.
As the head of that music therapy department. And that's where I met Jeff Angel, who's the music therapist on Rikers Island. And we work very closely with him now. So I'll just introduce MOTI and myself. As you know, I convinced Lincoln Center that jazz had a rightful place at America's preeminent performing arts center. And I brought Wynton Marsalis on, and we produced together the first years under the name Classical Jazz at Lincoln Center. It was a heady time, dizzy, and so many people were still alive, and I had the honor to work with so many amazing jazz musicians. And in the same period of time, I produced a show about Louis Armstrong, and I learned that Louis Armstrong was arrested when he was 11 years old, sent to the Colored Waifs Home for Boys, where they had a boys band and a music teacher. And it was the first real music education he ever got. He loved music. He just would play on the streets. He would go listen in the honky tonks. He would talk about it that way. And it changed his life. And of course, Louis Armstrong changed the world. And so I thought, what are we doing for incarcerated youth today? It started me on quite a journey. Music on the Inside is now about to start its 10th anniversary year. And we worked on Rikers Island, and we now work in a couple of state facilities, most prominently Queensboro Correctional Facility, the only reentry facility in the city of New York. And then we continue to support people as they get out. So it's been an amazing job, and
Wow.
I'm so grateful.
I had no idea about Louis Armstrong and his past. And
Yeah.
so it seems reasonable to think that he honed his skills while he was there at the
Yes,
very beginning.
yes.
Amazing. Wow.
I know. I always feel that I'm personally telling that story again and again and letting the word be out because everyone still remembers Louis Armstrong, but no one knows that. I mean, not no one knows it, but it's not readily known
Yeah,
that that's that
you
was
make
music.
me want to go listen to his music now, like and study him. I'm not even kidding. I was like, wow, because he's off our radar. He did many
Yeah,
generations back, but still relevant in many
yeah,
ways. Wow.
yeah.
Yes, and the legacy of Louis Armstrong, to think that he could have been lost to the world if
Right,
he took a different path. And
right,
what would the world be like without Louis Armstrong's influence is
right,
almost unthinkable.
right.
Um, you know, Perhaps you can tell us your own journey, Alina, from your roots in the jazz world, and how this discovery about Louis Armstrong's youth led you to the founding of this organization and what it's personally meant to you to bring this forth into the world.
It also, in a certain way, my introduction to jazz was kind of late, but I would meet an old friend at Barry Harris's Jazz Cultural Theater, and I could hear in the music like the honest expression of human life in a way that I felt like it was something that I had always longed to hear and needed to hear, didn't even know that I needed to hear it. And it was somehow very transformative to me. That was before I was working at Lincoln Center. I worked at Lincoln Center for 23 years. I was director of visitor services there. And a couple of years later, when I was at Lincoln Center and I heard that they were looking for some new programming ideas for Alice Tully Hall, which was dark at that time in the summers, I had Barry Harris's words in my ear. This music's going to die out. The youth aren't going to know this music. And I'm not thinking, I, I'm going to do anything about that. I certainly never had that presumption. But there I was, and I said, okay, jazz has a rightful place here. So 3 proposals, and 4 years later, the president of Lincoln Center said, okay, Alina, give us your idea. And that's when I said, we could pay tribute to jazz composers the way we pay tribute to classical composers and present jazz not just as jam sessions, but as real repertorial programs so people would learn about it. So that was part of that adventure. And and then I was producing another series at the time called Reel to Reel, weaving together film and live performance, celebrating our cultural heroes. And that show on Louis Armstrong was so great. We took it on the road and it became Reel to
Hmm.
Reel. And I learned a lot about Louis. And I was so blessed because the Louis Armstrong archivist, Ricky Riccardi, and David Oswald, people that are steeped in Armstrong, uh, really took me under their wing and taught me. He's a great humanitarian and a great musician. He just did have the whole package. And of course, coming from abject poverty, uh, with not enough to eat living on the street practically. So his transition and transformation through music was so vivid to me.
Hmm. We're going to bring in a guest now.
Oh, great.
Okay.
I'm not sure who this is because it doesn't sometimes say who the person is, but I
I
know
can
that we're
introduce
awaiting
this
somebody.
person. I know who this person is.
Okay.
Kel, are you able to be visible?
I think I am. I'm on my phone though.
No, we
Uh,
don't
uh,
see you. We see your name and we hear you, but we'd love to see your handsome face if we
Thank
can.
you. Can you see me at all?
Nope, I only
Not
see you.
yet.
I don't know what I can do.
Well, let's
Oh,
go ahead while
I'll
you're,
I'll just introduce you. Mikell
please do.
Greenbrand is Moti's community
okay.
outreach coordinator. He's someone who's there.
There
You
Here I
we
are.
There we
go.
go.
Right.
Welcome.
Hi. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Mikell is so kind. He always drives us all around when we need it. He's on the case all the time.
Yeah.
Mikell, you can tell a little bit about yourself and the work you do and your background.
Okay,
And
certainly. So I am Mikell Green Grand. I am, give me, you know what? I'm going to pull right over. Give me a
that'd be a
second.
great idea.
Thank you. Okay. It's wonderful. I am Mikell Green Grand.
If you'll park,
And
why don't you undo your seatbelt and
Get comfortable. We're all friends.
Okay. So yeah, I am Mikell Green, Community Outreach Coordinator for Music on the Inside. I am someone who has been impacted uh, uh, by incarceration and as well as reentry. I am an alumni of an agency called the Fortune Society, and for the past, I think about 3, 4 years now, I've been working very closely with Music on the Inside and Alina Bloomgarten, the founder of Music on the Inside. And I like it. I liken my position with Music on the Inside to a program. I often say when I was a youngster, I'll tell my age. When I was a youngster coming home from school, my grandmother would be at home and she would watch a program called The Millionaire. And it was by a man by the name of Michael Anthony. And Michael Anthony would surprise someone and knock on their door, and he would give them $1 million. And he changed the way they were their life and the way they were living. So I find myself with Music on the Inside being that person. I am the Michael Anthony of Music on the Inside. I knock, yeah. So I knock on people's door and I bring them instruments. I bring clarinets and keyboards and drum sets and guitars. And I watch people, I actually see them change the trajectory of their life. And I'm very often their community by little small steps, bringing in a clarinet into a neighborhood to someone who previously might have sold drugs, had held a handgun in his hand. And now I go to a NYCHA housing project and I drop off a clarinet. And I don't know, the trajectory of the neighborhood, the questions and the answers are all different all of a sudden. You're like, what you got in that case? you know? And I see people who walk proudly and confidently back into the neighborhood. So for me, it is a win-win situation. I worship at a church in Harlem called the Abyssinian Baptist Church, and I've been there for some time. And this gives me an opportunity to practice my faith and with good charities and gifts. So I am so very thankful to Alina Bloomgarten, who is also the founder of Jazz at Lincoln Center. And that is really a defined thread that runs through Moti, because I have a roster of amazing musicians, almost like an all-star cast to choose from. And then I'm able to partner them with our mentees, the people just coming out, facing the challenges of reentry, and we pair them together. And that's when you just sit back or stand back and watch magic happen.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mikell, the magic that you're describing and the gift that you're bringing of music and an instrument into people's lives is so much exemplified by, I'm not sure if Shantae Smith is going to be able to be with us, but I read his story this morning about how he taught himself on a paper keyboard that he constructed while he was incarcerated and literally taught himself the technique. And then he purchased for $10 a keyboard from a fellow inmate who then taught him how to play, and how this now transformed his life on the inside. And then when he got out and developed a mentoring relationship with a couple of different major keyboard players and vocalists, his trajectory has just continued to strengthen. And I was, really moved, just the inner drive to do that and to
Right.
salvage out of an empty situation is such a rich, you know, foundation for his future success. I just wonder if you could talk a little about, what it's like for you, not only to bring that gift of the clarinet and the keyboard, but to be part of their ongoing development as musicians.
Well, Shante Smith is someone very special to me. And I should begin with saying that his mother shared this with me. If you want to see the real true gifts of giving and the miracle of music is that Shante Smith was born crack addicted. He was the number 3 baby at Mother Hale's house. The number 3. So we began there. And to think that his life after that was filled with troubles and problems and incarceration. And with the spirit and the desire to find something while being incarcerated, by being locked down in a cell, and just having that opportunity whenever that cell was open to go to church, to go to a Bible study, and to go to church, and to sit behind the keyboard of someone playing, and to learn to self-taught or self-teach himself.
Mhm.
It's just amazing. Where did the music come from? Where in his body, his soul, where did it come from? And to think that he took these little strips of paper and wrote this music and kind of developed this keyboard himself to teach himself how to play music. But I really think the true essence of the spirit of it all is that not only did he self-teach himself, but within his time span of being there, I think 7 or 8 years, Shante went from learning the keyboards to becoming the choir director of the choir.
Wow.
And that's really the miracle, though.
He wanted it bad. He knew he wanted it bad. Wow.
And let's add something to that. Shantae will be featured this Sunday in our Unchained Melodies benefit for Moti, and we are going to have an online option for that. So, Steve, I will send you the link to that perhaps you can share.
I would love to.
He's
Yeah.
one of the artists. We always have, when we have our live performances, we combine top professionals performing alongside people who've been impacted by incarceration. And that's no exception this Sunday. We have some wonderfully talented people that we've been working with. And as Mikell is saying, that is such a blessing that we are able to connect with top musicians, particularly jazz musicians. And they really, so many of them have deep empathy for people who've been impacted and do want to help. And so one of the things we do is make it sort of easy for a musician to meet with their mentee once a week, even when they're on the road. So they develop relationships and the sense of parity as human beings. That's the thing about music that I feel is so powerful. Your story is not there, my story is not there, whether you're incarcerated, I'm not. We're just human beings making music together. And that in itself is so intrinsically healing. It breaks down these tremendous walls that people who've been impacted can often feel, which makes it very, very challenging to re-enter. So, a lot of times people working in re-entry are focused on jobs and housing, and that's understandable. But not enough is done to build the sense of dignity and respect that people need to have in order to hold a job and be successful. So it's kind of that subtle part of life that is so essential that is often not emphasized. So that's what it's about.
My main takeaway, aside from the wonderful, beautiful work that you all do, is how music connects us.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I'm hearing it more and more today and how powerful it is,
Yeah.
connecting somebody with a mentee, even connecting you with yourself in many
Yes.
regards.
Yes.
Hmm.
Exactly. Maybe starting with that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go ahead, Peter. I'm sorry.
Well, just reemphasize again that making music in and of itself is powerful, but making music with other human beings um, cements relationships on a whole different level.
Right.
And when you uh, experience the special language that musicians share with each other and the places you go together, um, there's just there's just nothing like it, and it forever, forms lifelong connections,
Mm.
and that I think is really the beauty of Moti's work is in the continued strengthening of those relationships
Yep.
and how unfortunately incarcerated people have a huge amount of damage to their social structures.
Right, right.
And
Mm.
and when they come out, however well-intentioned they may be, having a meaningful social structure based on caring and music is extremely powerful.
Mm.
Thank you.
I
Well,
see, Mikell, your grandmother used to watch a show called The Millionaire, and what
Yes,
you're doing now is you make people feel like a million in
yes.
in a small way, but it it does something for them.
I'll tell you, it really does. And the interesting thing about music on the inside of this program, and especially the founder, Alina Bloomgarten, is that there is music in a broad sense where we do these big productions and benefits, but then there's an intimacy where we have rehearsals at her home.
Mm.
And we're all sitting on the couch and musicians are playing. We just did that on Saturday. And then the musicians will go, "Oh, I wish I had this." And someone will say, "Oh, I have one, I'll bring mine." And then so you see the exchange of instruments and it opens up
Wow.
and they're creating music in real time. And it's wonderful because there's a professional musician and a couple of guys in reentry. And this guy may teach here, and this guy just came out of Queensboro Correctional Facility after doing so many years. And then as I keep saying, the fine thread is music, and the continuum is music, and you just feel the beat of the drum every time you hear and you hear them share, and you find that that's what we all have in common. We love music, and we're all musicians in some way or another. Uh, and I saw that it was very evident on Saturday. Perhaps Alina can share what it meant to her to have musicians, both professionals and people in reentry, all coming into her home and
I
being
know this
entertained.
is a new development, and I feel excited because we're building community now, giving
Mm.
people alternative communities, not to go back into where they came from, but to a whole different level. But one of the things that would be wonderful to share on this program right now is that we serve people who are coming out of prison that are musically engaged all over the country. We have people in Philadelphia, in Georgia, and we want to do more of that because our mentorships are most often happened remotely. People do it on Zoom or Google Meet, and the musicians can meet with their mentee wherever they are. So we'd
Mm.
love to get the word out that anyone who's been impacted by incarceration and would like to really develop their musicianship on any instrument. Right now, we have mentorships on piano, guitar, violin, clarinet, flute, singing, spoken word. I can't think of them all, but so, and musicians really want to help. So we often feel that we're also serving the music community. We're giving them the means to do something that they want to do that's very doable for them. You don't have to go miles and miles, spend a whole day. Take an hour a week. And really we hear from the mentors and the mentees that it's life-changing for both.
Just amazing. I
Yeah.
want to keep talking. I want to learn even more. We're out of time.
Right. Thank you
We
so
really
much.
are. BalticStreetIntoAction.com is the website to learn more about some of the wonderful things they're doing. It's a 501c3 organization, always looking for support. And everybody here, thank you for today. And we've talked here on these podcasts about different situations where people are and how music has moved their life forward. And we've mentioned incarceration, but we never went deep. And I feel like we got to look at what it's like on the inside based on the conversation today. So I appreciate all of you
Peter,
being here.
anyone that comes to you, or can I share that they could also connect with us at info@musicонtheinside.org? Anyone who's musically engaged and would like to have a mentor, we'd love to serve people who've been impacted by the system.
Thank you so much,
so much.
Alina, Mikell,
Thank you.
Shantae. Sorry we missed you, but I think we got a pretty good picture of what's going on for you. So great. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Be well. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.